Hello everyone, my name is Kyle. I'm with Ledger Support, and I wanted to put together a video showing a full unboxing of a Ledger Nano, getting it set up from scratch in a way that's just not super glossy, it's not super edited, it's just me setting up a device that you can follow along with and get yourself to the point where you are comfortable and confident using your Ledger to explore the world of crypto. So whether you come at this from a crypto experience and you're just used to using MetaMask and you wanted to try using a hardware wallet, to someone who's new to the whole space, I hope I can take all of you along with me and put you down in the same spot with the same level of confidence. So we're gonna get started here with what I hope you have in hand, which is a box with a ledger in it. You're just gonna take the ledger, we'll set it aside for a second, and what's important is, so you got a USB cable, you got this little thing in here, it says hello, and then there's a first thing you want to pull out of there, which is, I'll put this on my fancy second screen here. It's a blank card with 24 spaces in it. We're going to go through that in just a second here. But first, I want to tell you what it is you're about to do. So there's a ledger, fresh out of the box. You'll notice it has a little battery. If you hold this black button down, it'll power on. There you go. And it'll just say like, hello, welcome to Ledger. Here's something to do to get started. Let me put this stuff aside here for a second. So what you're doing right now is that you're making yourself a cryptographically secure seed phrase. The whole premise of cryptography is that you have a secret number that you know and nobody else knows it. And we're all here, all humans in the world right now are sitting here interacting with the same central database that is the Ethereum network. It is the blockchain. And my account on that blockchain, 0xABCD, it's some crazy number that is my account on the blockchain, has entries in that database. And those entries represent the assets that are associated with my address. And the only way that I can transact on behalf of that account, on behalf of that address, is because I know the secret number that's associated with that address. And for those of you who have been in the world of crypto before, you'll kind of be thinking, well, I don't remember having a secret number. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, at some point, someone decided that it was really hard for humans to write down long numbers accurately. It was too easy to make errors. So what we did was we turned that long secret number into a long phrase of English words that just represents your long secret number. So what we're about to do is we're about to use a ledger device here in front of me to generate a long number that I'm going to be using as a cryptographic secret from here on out. So this cryptographic secret will be me on the blockchain. It'll represent my accounts from now onward. And the thing I want to drive home here is that whoever has this secret number has your money. They can transact as if they were you because they know the number. And that's the whole point of this product. That's the whole point of Ledger, is that it gives you a way to generate a secret number in a way that doesn't touch a computer, offline, and it is your job from now on to keep that seed phrase safe, offline, never on a computer. Don't digitize it in any way. There are hackers out there that are trying to get access to the seed phrase however they can. And anytime you put this into a digital format, whether it's taking a picture of it, putting it into Evernote, putting it into 1Password, anything you do besides writing it down on a piece of paper like this is a potential vector for someone to find it. So this card is here to sort of remind you that this seed phrase that we're about to see, that this device is about to generate for us, is something that's for your eyes only, and it's something that you should write down in an analog format, like on a little card like this. All right, now that I've sort of hammered home the severity of doing this right, let's get started. So this part is actually, it seems like a big daunting task, but it's actually not too bad. It's quite straightforward. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a seed phrase. So I wish I could zoom in on this. Hold on a second. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. Sorry. There you go. Okay, welcome to Ledger Nano X. Press right button to continue. This is sort of a tutorial level. You'll see that there's a button on the right, there's a button on the left, right button goes right, left button goes left. And if you're wondering how to select, it is both buttons at the same time. And now I've seen people get sort of lost in this situation before, and it doesn't tell you this till later in the tutorial, but if you press and hold both buttons, you'll end up at a menu that has like your battery level and power off and all that. And so if you ever end up here at any point, that means you held the buttons too long and weren't selecting, but were instead entering the control center. So if you ever end up here, just click close and you'll be back to what you had underneath. But I just imagine one of you out there is going to end up in that scenario. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to Ledger Nano X. Press right button to continue. All right, download Ledger Live. Go to ledger.com/start. I'm going to do that a bit later, only because I wanted to sort of prove a point to you that this device doesn't need Ledger Live to generate you a cryptographic seed phrase. This is something that is between you and the device. The device is doing this locally without the aid of any software applications. So we'll get Ledger Live in a second. But okay, use buttons to navigate menus and lists. That's the tutorial. Press both buttons to select. That's the double select here. Okay, keep going right. Hold both buttons anytime to go to the control center. Start Ledger Live for help. Ledger Live is like the software application that you use to update firmware on this and install apps. We'll get there in a second here. Okay, so this is the first question it's asking you. You have two choices. You have set up as new device or restore from recovery phrase. And because this is a new device setup for you, I would think, we're going to choose the first option, which is set me up a new seed phrase. Now, later on, because you have written down your seed phrase, if you ever wanted to set up a second Ledger device to be a clone, a carbon copy of the first one, you can choose that second option, which is use my seed phrase to set me up a new device. But for now, like you can restore from recovery phase. But for now, we're going to set up this new device. And we're about to go on a journey here. So this is choosing a pin. This is something that keeps this ledger when it locks. You want the pin to be secure enough that nobody will just guess it on the first try because they get 3 attempts at guessing this pin and then the device will wipe itself. So I'm going to choose a really bad pin intentionally. 1122, that seems good. Confirm it. You'll notice these numbers are random. This is so somebody like across the room can't count your clicks. But it is a little annoying to see numbers like start. So yeah, if you mess up, after 9, there's a back button. So let's just pretend I did that on purpose. 1122. Okay. Now it's instructing you to write down your recovery phrase, and we're going to do it. So press both to select. Your device will generate 24 words. They are your recovery phrase. It is your only backup to restore your accounts if needed. Write it down on your recovery sheet in the correct order. Press both buttons to continue. Okay, here we are. So this is something, what I'm doing now is something you'll be doing at home, but of course you will not be live streaming it. The fact that I'm showing this on a device's screen and sending it to you in a video, this is really bad. The seed phrase is not something I would want to use. But here we are anyway. Let me get that light turned back on. Apologies, technical difficulty. There we go. Okay, so word 1, salon. Salon. All right, sorry. Do this quietly, carefully. Make sure you're doing it right, because this is what is going to be backing up your crypto assets from now on. If you do this right and you keep this safe, you will never have to do this again in your lifetime, because nobody will ever know it except for you. And your ledger's job, your ledger's job is to keep this information stored inside of it, inside of a secure element chip, the kind that's used in biometric passports, in a way that you cannot extract that information from this device in any way. There's no way to query it from outside. This information, this seed phrase that we're generating, is going to be stored inside this thing in a very safe way. This is your account information after all. Okay, any trade, we're halfway there. Business. Bounce. You can probably do this part yourself and skip to the end of where I stopped doing this. Forget. Scissors. Also. Gauge. Level. This seems rather arbitrary, but it's just a long number being encoded as words. So they're random. They're from a list of words that is known. It's called the BIP 39 word list, but The important thing to know, actually, and one cool fact about these words is that they were chosen such that the first 4 letters was enough to uniquely identify them. So you only really have to write down the first 4 letters and you'll be able to get the rest of the word. I would recommend writing down the whole word, but if you ever get like one of those hardware security, like there's ways to store this seed phrase in metal. And if you think about it, like if this seed phrase is the thing that represents my accounts on the blockchain, it might go to stand to reason that like maybe I should have this thing safe against fire and floods and earthquakes and stuff like that. So there are metal versions of ways to store seed phrases, and sometimes they have only places for 4 letters per word. Don't worry if that's the case. Like that is fine. Okay, so I've got to the end of my word list. Now it says press both buttons to continue, and we are going to confirm my recovery phrase. Think of this like a quiz. See, like I wrote down my words sloppily here. But think of this like a quiz that's like, prove to me before we move on that you've in fact set up wrote down your words correctly. So I'm going to try to, as quickly as I can, get through this. Confirm number 2. Sorry to everyone who has to watch me do this. Deliver. Pledge. Off. Lab quantum. Funny. This is annoying, but you'll be happy that it did this later. You want to make sure it's right and in the right order after all. Any trade. Okay, business. Bounce. Length. Forget. Scissors. Also, gauge level, blur, gauge. Level. Blur, we're almost there. Glass lizard rotate. Okay, your recovery phrase is set. Keep it in a secure place. Lost, stolen, or forgotten, all your assets will be irredeemably lost. Never share it with anyone. Ledger will never ask you for it. That is true. Like, there is never a good reason to type these seed phrase words into a computer for any reason ever. Like, do not digitize them. If you ever feel the instinct or you ever feel the impulse to paste these words or type them into a computer at any point, you are likely being scammed. So scammed or at least misguided somehow. So like, don't ever do it. If you need any help with that, just let me know. Like, why is this thing asking me for a seed phrase? It's likely a scam, but I can help you check that if you ever need it. Okay, press both buttons to continue. Processing, that was the last time you'll ever see the seed phrase at this point. It's going to be storing it into the secure element, and we are done. The secure element inside this device has this seed phrase. Its white balance is wrong. This seed phrase is now stored into the device forever until the pin gets entered wrong. Anyway, go to the dashboard. So now this is something that a lot of people wonder is like, now what? Okay, the device is set up. Okay, do I have crypto? Not exactly. So this device, the Ledger Nano, is kind of a dumb device on its own. It is meant to be orchestrated by applications, by external applications like MetaMask, like Ledger Live. There's a bunch of them that can utilize this device to do cryptographic signatures. So it's the custodian, it's the guardian of your seed phrase, and it can only be asked to sign things. So at this point, we need to actually go and take an external application, hook it up to this device, and get it to do things. It's rather useless on its own. And as you sort of like get more familiar with crypto, you'll get used to it. Like the fact that the ledger it's important, it does a good job, but it's not like all that useful on its own. So let's do this. I'm going to go to a different view. Let's move that down a little bit. So I've got my monitor here. I've got my tutorial screen, and hopefully that's still visible enough right there. I'll make it a tad bigger. Okay, so now's the point where you go get Ledger Live. So go to ledger.com /download. Never had to remember this out of memory. I just usually search, Ledger Live. Sorry, here you go. Ledger Live, ledger.com/ledger-live. That was it. Great. Download the app. It'll ask you for desktop, mobile. We're on desktop, of course. You can actually do this from mobile, by the way, from this point on. Like, you can do the rest of the setup from mobile, but I prefer desktop. You'll click download for Windows, Mac, whatever. This actually is the same either way. It will download, and then what you'll get once you install it is Ledger Live. So I'm a Ledger Live user, but I've reset, so we are set up. By the way, if you are using a Mac and you wanted to plug in, sorry, it opened up on the wrong screen. There. Okay, so if you're on a Mac and you wanted to plug in this device, this thing, of course, you can, if you have a dongle available, which most Mac users have this, just plug it in. You're good. Make sure you plug this side into your computer because it's the host and this side into the device. But yeah, if you don't have a dongle around and you still have trouble plugging it in, you can go grab a spare Mac charger because it's a, USB-C to C on each end, and this device is USB-C, so you can plug it in with that. But anyway, connectivity aside, we are going to connect it up. I have a USB hub here, so let's do that. There we go. And you see what happened whenever you plug or unplug the USB as a security precaution, it actually locks the device. This is assuming that either somebody, while it was plugged into your laptop, yanked it off and ran away with it. So it's like, let's just lock to be safe. Or in this case, maybe I was using it through Bluetooth or something like that, and somebody snatched it, ran away, and plugged it into their laptop. It just locks to be safe. So anytime it locks, of course, you just put in your PIN, and it's good to go. Let me actually enter my PIN in wrong one time here, because I wanted to show you what happens. This is, let's say I am that attacker that grabbed your device and ran away. What's going to happen? Well, they're going to enter in the wrong PIN, and it'll give them a stern warning that says, that PIN was invalid. You have 2 attempts left. And of course, like, you may make a mistake, so it's fine. But that if you get to the end and it says no attempts left, the device will wipe itself, reset, and be back to where it started. And fun fact, in order to get this device to where we started today, I just entered the PIN wrong 3 times to get it to set back up as a fresh device. So no big deal. If you forget your PIN, just bust out these words and you're back in business. So 1122 is my PIN, and that is good. All right, now we are connected by USB. Let's switch over to Ledger Live here. Ledger Live is how we sort of like figure out what is my new Ethereum account. So I'm going to sort of go through this quickly, but what is your device? You have a Nano X. This is hello first time. This is the tutorial. This is effectively what I'm doing, but I did this for you. So you can actually skip the just simply connect, and it just skips these first couple steps here and goes straight to the end. And this is cool. So this is how we verify that this device is not a counterfeit, it's not fake. What we do is we actually issue a cryptographic security check to this device that only devices that come out of the factory can pass. And so it's going to do a quick check. The device is going to need manager access, which is this application here. And of course, you will get confetti because you are not getting counterfeit Ledger devices. But it's always good to know. And it's like a fun thing. Like if I were to find a Ledger on the ground in a parking lot, I would run the genuineness check. I would wipe the device, and then you can use it like it's your own Ledger. No big deal. But that's like, I'm comfortable with this product. It's my something I understand pretty clearly. So if you don't feel like you're there yet, don't pick up a Ledger off the parking lot, but just letting you know you could. Okay, so now we have a device that has your seed phrase, but not much else. Let's get to the point where you can figure out what your Ethereum address is. So right away, right at the portfolio tab, it's just prompting you. It says like, you need to add an account. We don't know anything about this device. So what I want to do is I want to get my first Ethereum account. So I just orchestrated, I told Ledger Live, I want to add an Ethereum account. It's connecting to the device here on my desk, and it is asking it, hey, device, give me your first Ethereum account address. And the Ledger device out of the box actually doesn't know what an Ethereum account address is. It's like, I don't know the proper instructions to get to an Ethereum account address. So it just quickly pushed a set of instructions onto it. This is called an app. But the app is just like, what is Ethereum? How do I use Ethereum? And so you see, just installed the Ethereum app. It's prompting me to open it. Anytime it says do something, you have to like click it with both fingers. Anytime you see something weird like that, where it's like, why is it asking me to open an app? It's almost always a security thing. It's like, anytime the device changes state, it asks you to push the button. And you'll see like, anytime you do cryptographic signing, like there's just always a button press that keeps it so nothing can orchestrate your device into an unsafe state. The only thing that can affects the device's state is you pressing the buttons, which is good. So what you'll end up with is if you'll have a fresh new account called Ethereum 1. And let's go ahead and add it. Add account. Okay, added successfully, and you should have an account called Ethereum 1. And it'll likely have no crypto assets in it at all. So there's two things you can do. If you're already into crypto in a sense, like where you have a Coinbase account, you have an FTX account, something like that, and as do I. Like I actually buy and sell crypto through a centralized exchange like Coinbase. What you need at this point, you actually just need your new Ethereum account's address. So I clicked receive here, and I want to get the address. I want to get my receive address, my public address for Ethereum account 1. So here we are. And so what I would do is I would actually copy this and paste it over into Coinbase. And what you'll notice actually here is that this is something cool that the device does, where it will do a thing where it just has you verify that the address matches on this little screen to the one that's shown here. This is for a particular like type of paranoia where you can even assume that this Ledger Live is fake. This is a fake application that's just tricking you into sending an attacker your money instead of the Ledger device. So let's say this entire Ledger Live is fake. You can't fake this. You can't get the device, the secure element on the device to show you a wrong address. It can only show you your address. So by looking at this screen, what you see is what you sign is kind of the way the screen works. It is being controlled by a secure element. So I will just approve that, yes, that matches, which means I can now shared securely. And I will take that address over here to Coinbase, and I will send some money. So let me just cut the video, and I'm going to go to Coinbase and send money. By the way, if you're not a Coinbase user and you're a US citizen or many other countries, you'll end up in a situation where you have to verify your identity to get crypto. It's like a barrier that everybody's putting up. They're saying like, if you need to get from bank account to crypto, you have to provide your ID somewhere. That's why I'm using Coinbase for this. But if you've never set up anything before, a fine option is to click the buy button here. And we have these two options. Both of them are totally fine ways to buy cryptocurrency if you have no account or on an exchange set up yet. I think Coinify is actually a little bit cheaper, but MoonPay lets you pay with a credit card for an additional fee. So either of these options is fine, but I have a feeling that many of you have crypto in some form, one form or another. So let me go off to Coinbase. What I'm going to do behind the scenes here is I'm going to go to Coinbase, take that address I just saw and copied, put it into Coinbase's send menu and send myself some Ether, and I'll come back. So I'll see you in a second. All right, so we're back in business. I've got some money now. I've got 0.07 ETH that I sent from Coinbase. Now, full disclosure, in the break, I actually wiped the device and recovered it back to my my own account. So I didn't actually send money from Coinbase, but let's just pretend I did, because that is how I set this up originally. The reason is I didn't want to send money to this address because I just am sending this out into the world, and seed phrase leaking out into the world means I lose all my money. So I'm not going to put money on this seed phrase because I posted it on this video. So we are now on a seed phrase that you don't know. This is my seed phrase. So take that. Okay. So now we have Ether on this account. This is my account. This account is backed up by this seed phrase on my Ledger device. And if your goal is to simply buy and hold Ether for a long time, you're done. Like, this is it. You can go in here and do the same thing with Bitcoin. Let's make sure you have a Bitcoin address, and it'll do the same thing where it checks for the app. It's like, oh, I don't know how to use Bitcoin, so let's go ahead and install Bitcoin. Dealing with a little device here. Okay, here we go. Now it is loading in the instructions for how to interact with Bitcoin. Give it a sec. Cool. Bitcoin app is installed. This is a one-time thing, by the way, that app install. From now on, this device is ready to go with Bitcoin. Okay, so Bitcoin app was open. Now Ledger Live is asking it, hey, give me your first Bitcoin account. Give me your first however many Bitcoin accounts. It found Bitcoin 1, that's the first one. And what it's doing is it's looking through all of the possible Bitcoin accounts that you could have that are all derived from the same seed phrase. And it's just checking to see if there's any money in any of them. Some people have money that's in a lot of different accounts and it wants to make sure that you don't have any. So I don't have any. Let's click add account. And same as before, and this is going to be the same for any other cryptocurrency you might want to store on this device. You make the account, it'll install the app the first time you do it, and then you say receive, and it will reveal to you your Bitcoin address or your Solana address or whatever. So here's my first Bitcoin address. Feel free to send me tips with this. I'll take it. This is not a public account. I'm just kidding, by the way. Don't send me tips. Okay, so just double check on the device that it in fact matches. BC1, QK, whatever. Okay, that's my Bitcoin address. You get the picture. So have accounts, they can hold money. If that's where you want to end your crypto journey, then by all means, you're just buying and holding. Plenty of people do that. But I have a feeling that you want to do a little bit more. You've heard a lot about Web3, and you've heard a lot about using a wallet to connect to an app to a website, and you want to know how to get yourself there. Or if you're already a MetaMask user, you'll be like, well, how do I use the ledger now? So what we're doing is, I sort of just hinted at it, we're going to install an application called MetaMask. MetaMask is a browser extension that rides on top of your Chrome browser here. And anytime a website out there wants to connect to a crypto wallet or it wants to send a transaction to the blockchain, it will pop up. The website can say like, hey, I want to talk to the blockchain, and MetaMask will pop up, handle that transaction, and get it going. So if you're already a MetaMask user, you'll be very familiar with this. If you're not a MetaMask user, that's okay. We're going to go through it. But either way, we are going to use the power and flexibility of MetaMask with the safety and security of our Ledger device, which is just like, it's a match made in heaven. You'll enjoy it either way. So what happens, like any other Chrome extension, I installed it, it did a download, it installed to my extensions menu, and it sort of disappears into this puzzle piece, so we'll just pin it to keep it on top. Okay, and so you'll get is a welcome to MetaMask. We're happy to see you. Get started. This is a bit of a pet peeve of mine. It's asking you if you're new to MetaMask, and it says two options. I have a secret recovery phrase, and yes, let's get set up. And it is perfectly reasonable to think you might want to click, I have a secret recovery phrase. But what that does is it will send you to a place where you paste your secret recovery phrase into MetaMask. And just as a general rule of thumb, there is never a good reason to put your secret recovery phrase into a computer for any reason. MetaMask is not trying to scam you here, but whenever you hit something like this, you just know you're in the wrong spot. When you're using a ledger, you do not put your secret recovery phrase into a computer ever. So what you need to do is you need to click yes, let's get set up. I don't care if you agree or not to send your information to MetaMask. It's not a big deal. Okay, so what you're doing is you're creating a new password. This password doesn't actually have to be super secure because it is not protecting your seed phrase. The Ledger device is protecting your seed phrase. Just FYI. So that was a relatively unsecure password. And here's another pet peeve of mine about MetaMask is that it forces you to make a secret recovery phrase. This secret recovery phrase is so confusing, and I am waiting for the day that MetaMask stops doing this to people. But it just has a need to give you a secret recovery phrase that is only 12 words, that is generated by MetaMask and stored on this computer. This is it is an unsafe secret recovery phrase. This is not yours, and you won't use it. It doesn't match this for sure. This is just one that MetaMask came up with, and it's storing it somewhere. You don't want this. You don't want to use it, and I'll tell you why. Okay, the account one that you get dropped on is MetaMask just did the same thing we did on the Ledger. It made a secret recovery phrase, gave you Ethereum account one, and showed you your address. We did that before. The MetaMask account its seed phrase is stored on your computer, which means that it is inherently less safe. It is in a place where attackers can get it. And so that account it made for you, I always like to say do not use, just to remind yourself not to use it. But to do this is MetaMask, but you can go to account details, edit the name, do not use. However, if you're already a MetaMask user, this account is your account. This is your account one, account two. You will be very familiar with this. And I'm not telling you not to use your MetaMask account, but I do stick by what I said in the sense that the seed phrase that is backing up this account is not nearly as safe, not even close to being as safe as the one that the one that's on your ledger. So whatever, like from here, your paths are the same. Whether you are a new MetaMask user, you just don't use the account 1. If you're an existing MetaMask user, you have been using account 1 and probably account 2 and 3 and blah, blah, blah for a long time. But here's the part where you go next. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into MetaMask, and in the account picker circle menu here, you're going to click Connect Hardware Wallet, which is an option you may have seen before as a MetaMask user. You pick Ledger, you pick Continue, and MetaMask says, hey, I want to connect to a human interface device. And you can click Connect, and it's kind of interesting. So like Ledger Live and MetaMask like to fight each other over this device. So if you still have Ledger Live open, which I just did, I walked right into this. It does tell you, it's like your Ledger might be connected to software. Please close Ledger Live. It does tell you what to do. This is why I'm here. I'm helping you get through this, to navigate this colliding applications thing. If your device ever, just like what I did here, it falls asleep, you can just wake it back up, put your pin in, good to go. While I'm here, let me give you another good rule of thumb. Anytime you're using MetaMask with your Ledger, the Ledger device itself is actually pretty simple to run. You always just run the Ethereum app. It is device connected, unlocked, Ethereum app open, and MetaMask will be happy. No matter what you're doing with MetaMask, that is the situation you're in. Okay, so let's do that again. Click Ledger, click Continue, connect to my USB device. And now MetaMask is asking the Ledger. It's like, hey, Ledger, what are the first 5 Ethereum accounts that are on you? And you'll see here that I've got 5 accounts. I have another video where I go into detail about where the rest of these came from, because I'm pretty sure we only saw this one. Ledger Live and MetaMask should agree. This number should be the same, and because we funded it earlier, you should have some money in it. So we'll go ahead and pick that one. And now you are ultimately powerful. Like now MetaMask, this really powerful application that runs in your Chrome browser, is aware of your Ledger device. It is the same address as Ledger Live showed you. This has money in it. And now you have Ledger 1 as one of the accounts you can pick in MetaMask. And so when you're out on the web and you're browsing applications, you're minting NFTs, you're on OpenSea, whatever, anytime MetaMask wants to connect to a website, here you are. You can just pick your Ledger account and off you go. So hell, let's do it. OpenSea.io. It's a place where people like to go buy NFTs. If you wanted to go grab yourself a Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT, then this would be where you'd go. And so this is a common pattern of blockchain-enabled websites, is that you have a place somewhere on the website where you can say, connect your wallet. And one of the options here is MetaMask. MetaMask is a very popular always option. And it asks you like which account you want to connect. Clearly, I'm going to use my Ledger 1, of course. And so here we are. And actually, I cheated a little bit because this account actually has an NFT on it already. So look what happened. I actually connected my Ledger account to OpenSea. Now OpenSea is aware of this Ledger account, and I can go to my my profile. There, I've got a little NFT here. Nice. Unnamed is my name. Okay, and if you want to do something, I have a good idea about what we should do next. So like, again, this is a good stopping point. If you're getting tired of this video, I know it's already long. You can stop here. Now you have MetaMask set up. You can connect to websites, but let's do some homework here. Let's do a homework assignment. So you may have on Twitter, you may have seen somebody with like their name .eth. What that is it's an ENS domain. So you go to ENS Domains, which is the website. And what this is, it lets you get your name.eth as a short name. And what that does is it actually maps to your too long address like this. So I can make this address be something easier to remember by mapping it to a yourname.eth ENS domain. So at the top right here, I'll click Go to App. This is a very common pattern as well. You'll see in the crypto space. And what it'll do is it'll take you to an application. The application wants to connect to MetaMask. So by the way, all this is doing here is it's just sharing your public account address with the website, which is totally safe. No problem. It's not a secret bit of information. Okay, connect it to ENS. And now when I connect, I actually should have done it self-automatically. There you go. All right, now I'm connected to 315. This is my address. And let's get ourselves an ENS domain. I would recommend like your actual name.eth, but I want to claim a good one. Ledgerhelp.eth is available. Let's do it. Okay. Hopefully your name was available. Hopefully nobody stole it from you. But if not, you can put a minus sign in it or something. You can put emojis in it. Okay. So let's go ahead and reserve this domain for a couple years. Why not? The actual amount that this is going to cost is relatively inexpensive. This is the fee I'm paying to ENS, this protocol here. But what's really going to cost you here is the gas fees. This is the amount of fee that you have to pay to the Ethereum network in order to get your transaction handled. If you're new to this, you'll also get very accustomed to gas fees. The cost of sending transactions on Ethereum is actually pretty extreme. So you'll actually see, okay, there's actually a couple of steps here. We're going to do a 3-step process. So let me grab this for 10 years. Why not? Let's do 7 years. 7 years sounds good. Request to register. So that button is on the website. That website button triggered MetaMask to say like, hey, I think I just saw you wanted to send a message to the blockchain, which is what I want to do. I'm actually telling the blockchain I want to do something. And it says here, prior to clicking confirm, plug it in, select the Ethereum app, like I said earlier. Plugged in, unlocked, Ethereum app open. This next thing is something you have to do one time only, which I haven't done yet, which is enable smart contract data or blind signing on your Ledger device. It doesn't tell you how, so let me tell you how. Within the Ethereum app here, you should be sitting here on application is ready. If you head to the right, it tells you a version number, and then it says settings. We're going to select settings, and this first setting is blind signing. It is not enabled, and I'm going to click, and it is now enabled. Blind signing is where the device will take any message that was given and let you choose to sign it or not. By default, that gate is closed, so the Ledger device will only sign messages that it understands. It can decode and understand, but there's a lot of applications out here on the web that this Ledger device doesn't yet know and understand. So if you're going to be doing anything like minting a random NFT, you will probably be doing blind signing. So I turn it on. The real trick is to be careful anytime you sign something, because somebody could trick you into signing something that's bad. But here we are. So you see, like a couple times it reassessed my gas fee. The price changes based on how busy the network is. So when you go do this, it may actually be way more expensive. And if so, just wait until later in the day, or just pay it. Up to you. So I clicked sign on that. And what happened is, if you're a MetaMask user, that's it. That's the end of the road. But when you're using a Ledger, MetaMask doesn't know your secret information. It doesn't have your secret keys. It doesn't have your seed phrase, which means that it needs to ask the Ledger, hey, Ledger, I have a message for you. And then what you do is the Ledger receives that message. It wakes up. It's like, hey, I got something for you to review. You can review it, go through it. It's like you're interacting with this address. This is how much fees it's going to cost. And then you click accept. And then you'll see here is that the website noticed you did that. It's kind of cool. Like MetaMask signed a thing. Ledger approved the sign and did the cryptographic signing. The message went away to the blockchain. And what you have here is you have the website reacting to that. So if you want to know what's going on, you can pop open the MetaMask menu. The activity section here should show you what's going on. Transactions stay pending for a while. And if you pay too little for gas, you can always speed it up. But let's give it a second. Like don't speed it up right away. You're probably okay. Sweet. Okay, so it just went from pending to not pending. This thing says back up your secret recovery phrase. While I'm in this wait 1 minute period, that this is a specific quirk of ENS that it needs a minute cooldown period. Let me go into the MetaMask settings menu, which is up here. Circle thing, click settings. I'm just advanced. I'm going to go to the bottom and tell it to stop reminding me about the secret recovery phrase. Because remember, I don't want that secret recovery phrase. I'm not using it. I don't care. Okay, now it's going to stop pestering me about remembering that secret recovery phrase. So now let's wait a minute, an excruciating minute. Yeah. This, I think, is part of the protocol, and it makes it so if two people want to claim the same domain within the same minute, I think it enters an auction instead of just letting you have it, which is a really odd case, and I wonder how often it's actually happened. But I guess it's if something's in contention it gives a second person a chance to claim ledgerhelp.eth while I'm trying to claim it. But it's too late now. My request has been here for a minute, and now I can move to my second transaction to the blockchain, which is actually reserving this domain for myself. And this transaction is the one that costs the money. So I'm sending that 0.013 ETH for 7 years of registration, and it's costing $50-something in gas for an all-in total of $90-ish. So let's go ahead and click confirm, do the final confirmation here. And once this transaction goes through, this is something you'll also get kind of familiar with, is like the website is doing its best to figure out the state of this transaction in the blockchain. MetaMask is doing what it can to figure out the state of this transaction within the blockchain. They can get a little bit out of sync sometimes because they're both sort of separately asking the blockchain, the Ethereum blockchain, like, hey, what's the status of this transaction ID? If you're ever in doubt, that was actually pretty quick. If you're ever in doubt, you can click on it and it'll tell you the transaction ID. And you can head over to a website called Etherscan, which is, oh, Etherscan must be under some sort of load. I don't feel like doing the CAPTCHA. Actually, yes, I'll do. Quickly, boat, not a boat. You're a boat. Okay. Sorry, quickly going through boat. All right, this is what would happen if Etherscan wasn't under some sort of high stress. What it is this is the transaction I just did. It is coming from my address, which is, where's my address? Mint of this. Okay, this is me, 31530. That's my Ledger account. I interacted with the ENS ETH Registrar Controller smart contract, and this is like the techie debug view if you ever want to check the status of a transaction, see whether it's successful, see how many times it's been confirmed. This is the place to go. Etherscan's great. Okay, so here we are. Now what you'll see here is by the time you watch this video, if you wanted to send, let's say, an NFT to me, or if you wanted to send some ETH to me, you can actually send that to ledgerhelp.eth. That is now that's my address, that's my name. And so if I were to go into Etherscan and search for ledgerhelp.eth, right away, you can see that Etherscan's aware that ledgerhelp.eth resolves to address 31530, and that is my account. It's my tutorial account. This is why I think this is a fun first project to do. It's a chance to go out onto a website, connect your wallet, do some transactions, sign some messages, and in the end, you end up with something that's actually pretty cool, which is yourname.eth, which is a really easy way to access your accounts and remember your accounts. And if you're out with friends and they want to say like, hey, I want to send you an NFT, you don't have to remember 31530B6D. All you have to do is remember ledgerhelp.eth, and you can tell them that in person, and then they'll go into their phone and send you an NFT to ledgerhelp.eth, and there you go. Okay, so this has been long enough. I want to thank you, whoever stuck with me to the end. I hope this was a good tour of setting up a seed phrase, getting your first Ethereum account, funding it, going to MetaMask and making it so MetaMask is now aware of your Ledger account, and going out and doing something on Web3, which is, I had you do ENS domains, but you can go do something else. You can go buy something on OpenSea if you'd like. There's a lot more to do, but we'll have to cut it here. Thank you so much. Hope you have a good day. See ya.